Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Wander and Prepare. Today I have a really cool knife to show you from Demko Knives. You also see me wearing a different shirt, one from Demko. So they actually sent this knife to me for a review, and as a surprise I had this shirt. Now what's so exciting about this for me is I'm a giant. Rarely does somebody ever give me a shirt that it actually fits, and they got one with a little bit of room to spare. So on the back it shows their shark lock advertisement. That's kind of what Demko is known for, but super cool. So they sent me the Demko FreeReign. So let's go ahead and show you this thing. It is an absolute tank of a knife. Look at how thick that blade stock is. Tanto style. So this particular knife is in AUS 10, so good steel, kind of a budget steel, but this is also a budget knife. This thing comes in at $119. Now they make some upgraded versions of these. They make one in Magna Cut, and they make one in 3V. So this is the only one in Tanto though, so the Magna Cut and 3V are in different blade shapes, so just check them out. But obviously for the 3V and the Magna Cut, they come at a little bit higher price, but still I want to say the Magna Cut version is still right at $200, just a hair less. So super good quality, but an absolute tank of a knife. And every time I pull this thing out, it's just like, whoa, I wasn't really expecting that. So really cool, but let's go ahead and see what it does. So pretty standard, give you a few stickers with it. Box looks pretty cool, but that sheath, let's talk about it just a second. So it's got a really cool little topo pattern on there, and obviously it's set up for a belt sheath, which it needs to, as big a knife as this is. But I was looking at it, it almost looks like it's ambidextrous, like you could swap it around, but you can't. So if you try to put it in this way, the knife goes in, but it gets stuck right there. But I was looking at this, I'm pretty sure if you take these screws off, you can literally swap this around and make this a left-handed carry too. I'm not 100% certain with that, but it looks very modular from the way the front and the back is designed. Pretty sure you can do that. But let's go ahead and set that aside, and let's see how it does. So again, this is the Demko FreeReign. So let's start out with some paper and see if it'll shred it. Alright, I have absolutely cut nothing with this, but when I say it has a sick edge on there, like, again, just massive knife, but that edge is very large. So I imagine this is going to be quite the performer. So let's go ahead and check it out. I mean, that's just fine. Hold on, I got to do it again. I mean, that's just way too easy. And from a knife that size, it should not be that slicey. It's just exciting. I know that probably sounds weird when I say something like that, but as much stuff as I cut on the channel, when I find something that cuts that well, it's just impressive. You know, you just kind of have to call it out. All right, so let's see how it does with the cardboard. I mean, easy work with that. No trouble whatsoever. Let's see how it does when I lay it flat. So I'm not 100% a fan of Tanto blades, but they do have a pretty good advantage. They have a tip here, and they also have a tip here. Well, what that does is for things like this, with that secondary tip, you have a real easy way you can cut different things without having to hold it like that to use the tip. But as you see, it goes through that cardboard with absolute ease. Like, holy cow, like that's I don't know, it's really impressive. I know it probably sounds weird me saying wow to cutting something as many things as I cut, but it's just unique when you get a knife that cuts as well as this one does. And again, that large of a knife, you normally don't see large knives. Like, they're more of almost like a club instead of like a knife. So you know, they're more so just beat and chop things, but not the case with this one. All right, so let's go ahead and step it up. Let's have the little nylon rope. So this is very inexpensive nylon rope, but let's see how it does. So that's with this part of the blade. Let's see how it does That's fun too. There you go. I got a little fibers hung up, but it cut through it very cleanly. All right. So here we go. I cut myself a really small piece of Titan Survivor cord. So I know you heard me talk about it, but it has, I don't think I can find it. I feel it in there. There you go. A little metal snare in there, and that's what makes this thing so hard to cut. So let's see how it does. I mean, absolutely slices through it like butter. Oh, hey, look at that though. So, did not go through it real well. It pulled that snare out. Well, let's just go ahead and take that snare. I lost it. It fell off the table, but you get the idea. So obviously it's going to go through this one really easy now, but it did hang up on that snare. Ooh, I said it would. Struggle with that a little bit. Let's use that little tip. Oh man, look at that. All right, well that was the first time I ever seen that. Let's just take a look at that edge. No, yeah. I thought I could see maybe where it hung up, but it absolutely no issues whatsoever to the edge. All right. So let's step it up to the clothesline. This is a plastic clothesline. It has little plastic fibers in there, not the metal ones. So let's first use the tip blade. Absolute ease. Now let's use the other side of the blade. Absolute ease. All right. Now here is a really good demonstration. So, all right, big knife problem sometimes. So you see how it has this little section right here? Now that is absolutely needed, this little thing that comes down, because that keeps your finger from sliding forward if I'm piercing anything. Problem though, when I put it on a flat surface, big knife, right? But because of that right there, that literally, I have a very little section of the edge up here that I'm actually able to use on a flat surface. So I would literally have to hang it off of the edge to get the whole use of that blade on a flat surface. Just one of my small pet peeves, but you do need that with a knife like this. So just one of the challenges of it. But absolutely cuts through that with ease. All right, let's step it up. So we have the fuel hose. This is reinforced. You see the little reinforcements in there. And then on the outside, you can see a little bit of that reinforced jacketing right there. So let's see how it does. I think this one's going to be pretty awesome. Yep. Super clean cut on that. All right. Let's set it up, see how it does like this. Imagine like butter. Have to put a little pressure. All right, so again, big knife problems right here. So you see I can't get all the way through it because it's hitting on that edge right there. But you just pull it over to the edge here, goes right through it. All right, now toe strap, as slicey as this thing is, I think it is gonna just go right through it, but let's find out. Alright, let me try this edge. Can't really get a good grip. I cut it a little short. There we go. Had to put a little pressure, but man, goes through it relatively easy. Alright, let's see how it does when I lay it down. So let's first use this tip, see how it does, see if I can get through it. It'll take me a couple times. Alright, you can see I'm slicing almost through it, but it's going to take me a few times to get through it here, I believe. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Let's see, actually see how I do, if I can do it like that. Alright, basically that's using that top portion of the edge there. And I mean, it got almost all the way through it. But struggling just a little bit, so let's go ahead and use that top of the tip. Got through it relatively easy. Alright, go ahead and use this to wipe my blade off too. Alright, pull those aside. Alright, so we're going to use just some standard jute twine, but this is 3/4 inch jute twine. Let's see how it does going through that. Yeah, like I thought. Real easy. If I could just get the blade all the way down to the table. Super clean cut on that. Alright, let's use the polypropylene. So this is the heavy duty stuff. So this one had to use chain cutters when I got this. So let's go ahead and see how it does going through that. So you got to put a little pressure to get this one going. I don't think I can get enough of that. No. Alright, keep rolling it here. Yeah, fun using that top portion of the edge, but got through it. Not the cleanest cut in the world, but it worked. All right, let's get these little fibers off the blade there. Y'all know I hate that. All right, so let's see how they'll do with some zip ties. So tiny standard duty zip tie, no trouble. Goes through that with absolute ease. Medium duty zip tie, I mean hardly any pressure, goes through that. So yeah, it'll cut it actually, so I got enough of the edge I can cut it, but it works really well when you use that tip part of the blade. I mean, just absolutely incredible. Speaking of, let's fill that. No issues whatsoever. Alright, so let's go ahead, get the, starting with the first heavy duty zip tie. This is not the strongest one, but pretty heavy duty. Goes through it pretty good ease. Put a little pressure, but it got through it. Alright, now let's do the heavy duty one. Alright, I had to put a lot of pressure on that one, but it got through it. Alright, let's use that edge there. There we go. Got through it relatively easy. And again, no damage to that edge whatsoever. Alright. So, this is absolutely an outdoor survival type knife. So, we're going to baton with it in a second. But first, let's see if it can do those fine tasks and see if it can give me some feathers. Turn it over and use this section where I already have a little bit of a stop built in. It can absolutely give you some feathers, but again, I'm not great at feather sticking, but can absolutely, if your skill level is where it needs to be, give you some feathers. So go ahead and get those cut off there, and let's see if it'll throw some sparks. So just feeling this edge, it feels crazy sharp. So I think it's going to be a fire thrower. Just as I figured. All right. So I also said, if it is said to be an outdoor knife, we're going to baton with it. So let's just go ahead and see how that does. See if I can get me a good flat surface there. All right. Get ready for a little bit of noise. Here we go. I mean, I think it can baton. So set that aside. Let's just go ahead and look here. Wipe my edge off just a little, see if we got any kind of damage on it whatsoever. Don't feel any burrs. But let's check that edge out after batoning. So you might call a US 10 a budget steel, but it has been used for outdoor survival type knives for a really long time, so super good quality there. All right, so we know to throw some sparks. So let's go ahead and see if we can start a fire with it. So by the way, if y'all ever wonder what kind of fire starters I use, so this is from a company called Blackbeard, and they make some of the best fire starters out there in my opinion. So go check them out if you haven't, but let's just go ahead and see how it does starting a fire. I mean, can't get much easier than that. So just want to say thank you again to Demko for sending me this, and sending me this awesome shirt. I really appreciate that. And again, I get super excited, maybe more excited than I should, when I actually get a shirt that fits. So thank you guys for that. Really appreciate that. So check it out. This is the Demko FreeReign. So really awesome knife. Comes in AUS 10. Something to note too, just for those of you that this is really important to. So AUS 10 is not a US steel, number one, but it says clearly right here that it's made in Taiwan. However, their 3V and their MagnaCut versions are USA made. So if that's something important to you, pay that extra money, get the MagnaCut, get the 1 in 3V. A little bit better steel anyway. You'll pay a little more, but you get a fully American made knife. But nothing wrong with a knife that's not American made. Just gotta have a preference. So guys, just remember, as we're out there wandering and preparing, let's make sure we do so by faith and not by sight. That's all I got for you guys today. If you enjoyed this content, go ahead and click that like and subscribe, and thank you guys so much. The Demko FreeReign.